first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the world. Sweet the rain's new fall, sunlit from heaven, like the first dew fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweet.
The feast of the Epiphany of the Lord. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. When Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, in the days of King Herod, behold, Magi from the east arrived in Jerusalem, saying, "Where is the newborn King of the Jews? We saw his star at its rising, and have come to do him homage." When King Herod heard this, he was greatly troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. Assembling all the chief priests and the scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Christ was to be born. They said to him, "In Bethlehem of Judea. For thus it has been written through the prophet, and you, Bethlehem, land of Judah, are now by no means least among the rulers of Judah. Since from you shall come a ruler who is to shepherd my people Israel." Then Herod called the Magi secretly and ascertained from them the time of the star's appearance. He sent them to Bethlehem and said, "Go and search diligently for the child. When you have found him, bring me word so that I may go and do him homage." After their audience with the king, they set out, and behold, the star that they had seen in the rising preceded them, until it came and stopped over the place where the child was. They were overjoyed at seeing the star. And on entering the house, they saw the child with Mary his mother. They prostrated themselves and did him homage. Then they opened their treasures and offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they departed to further country by another way. The Gospel of the Lord. What we've heard is a story. It is a story of people. We don't know how many. It isn't three, as many think, nor do we know their names. But they were wise people seeking the Lord. And throughout history, there have been wise people seeking and trying to find, through signs that they see, find the Lord. At times, the Lord is not near to them, or at least is not publicly professed. We know in Iran, for instance, there are people who have dreams that Christ is talking to them, and they are seeking him. Wise people seeking the Lord. And that's the theology behind this. We get so often taken up by the minutiae of the event. We had that happen on the 21st of last month, when we remembered that there was a Christmas star, and there was a conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter, and it truly was, right after dusk on that day, it was a very bright star for those of us who saw it. And they called it the Christmas star. But that is not the important part of this. The important part is that the Lord is now being revealed, an epiphany, which means a manifestation or an appearance of something that was supernatural and has suddenly come to someone or some group. And so that's what's really happened here, is the appearance of the Lord to those who were seeking him. And the seeking of the Lord, the journey of faith, is being made by people throughout the world. And we suddenly find out that Christmas, which we heard so much about a week or so ago, and which this is really part and some of the final parts of that season, It was first done with an announcement to the shepherds who were nearby. It was to Israel that the announcement was made first. But we also know that that announcement did not stay silent, that also it goes out now to all people, and that's what the Epiphany is about. And that's the great theology of the Epiphany. People do all kinds of things. The Orthodox in Russia, on their epiphanies, sometimes they drop a cross in the water, and the energetic people in the icy water will jump in to find it. Or others do different things about ice and water and blessing of it. And so it varies with different countries of the world, a celebration of what is happening here and in the coming weeks. For really, the Epiphany is more than 1 week for us and for a lot of people. And that is because Christ's appearance also occurs when he comes of age. Age 30 is usually the maturity of the people of his culture. And therefore he is then able to be a Messiah, one who is a rabbi, one who is able to tell the world something new. And so we have the feast that we'll have next week of the baptism of the Lord, and then there's also the Epiphany of his going to do public ministry and miracles, the Feast of Cana. So these are also epiphanies, and in many sense they also show the presence of the Lord and how he came. Then we move on to the story itself and say that, well, it involves various elements that are really important. For one thing, they didn't know the full direction of where they were going. The Magi, they had their gifts, but they didn't know where they could find this person that they were seeking. So they asked directions, and the directions are being asked by people who were not fully motivated to respond in the way they wanted. In fact, they wanted to destroy what these people were seeking. And so we have that happen in our journey of faith, that sometimes those who are wise, those who are trying, will get a direction and it will be partly right, and sometimes it's partly wrong. And they do not understand, but the Holy Spirit comes upon them and directs them in the right way, for their earnestness will hold true to all. And so we see them come then to the Lord, present their gifts, and then they're told not to return by their other route, but their journey of faith takes a different direction, a detour, and because the risks are so great, they take that detour and go back to where they came from. So that is our journey of faith also. And that's what we can find in the Epiphany. The Epiphany is for us to be like wise people who can go and in their journey look at signs that God will give them, and then 2 weeks from now we'll be talking about that uniqueness of a calling that God gives to each and every one. These will be the Christmas stars that direct each and every one of us in different ways, and they move to the Lord. So we take courage then in thinking that our journey of faith at this time, when in the beginning of this new year, we still are battling with a pandemic, and maybe it's at its crest, its peak, and we have to have the courage it takes to do our journey of faith. We may ask directions from various people, and they will give us some which are right and some which are wrong, and that's the reason we have to keep our minds and our hearts open to the Lord to tell us what is right and wrong in these times. We are called to have our journey of faith right now, and it gives us great courage to know that others in other ages did not have the importance that we have at this moment in doing our faith. We are coming to it with the fullness of what we've got. We are coming to our faith. We know that what we've got is the Lord with us, and we know that we will find Christ, and that even with the risks that are associated, we will bring him to the rest of the world. So therefore, let us look then and see the Epiphany in our own life, in its fullness, bringing the Lord after we have found him to others.
Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird.